Last night, the BBC hosted a live debate between the candidates hoping to be the next leader of the Conservative Party and therefore the next Prime Minister. Now, sadly, I didn't see it because I had tickets to Metallica at Manchester. Now, it was a close-run thing. I could either watch a group of men lying about what they're going to do when they get into power, or watch California's finest tear up the stage for 2.5 hours. So Metallica won. But this isn't a review of that concert. This is more a quick guide to the type of dickheads you meet at concerts. Because I go to a lot of live music, from pub gigs right up to festivals, and if you go into something like I went to last night, a stadium event, generally there are two types of tickets, standing and seated. And standing gets you closer to the front if you get there early, and it lets you get more or less involved in the mosh pit. And I'll admit, I quite like a standing gig. I like getting in the pit despite my age, because I think what would be nice tonight is for me to elbow a teenager in the face. Now, that's not true. That's the perception a lot of people have of heavy metal gigs. But the mosh pit is actually very safe. We're all looking out for each other. But the first type of dickhead you meet are the twats who've never been to a concert before and think it's just going to be a fight. So they get in, arms whirling around, elbows going, pushing people, going, come on then, yeah, fucking come on. And with these, generally, I'll give them one or two, like, look, mate, leave it. And then tell them to fuck off. And if it gets really bad, you can always just get a bit of a bounce going, then crack to the temple. Down they go. Now, that's not very pleasant. A much subtler way, you can use this, walk up behind them, put your knee in the back of their knee and pull their collar, because that way you can control their descent speed, depending on how nasty or nice they've been. Well, you can either let them down gently, or if they've been a right arsehole, yank quickly and kick the legs out so they land flat. You can go, oh no, look, they fell over. No one fucking stamp on them. But yesterday we had seated tickets, which it's a different experience because you get to see the whole stage. It's not as intense, but it's very comfortable. It's also very fucking expensive. So the next type of dickhead you'll meet is actually a dickhead-ess. It's always two women who spend the entire concert looking at Facebook, talking loudly to each other about anything except the fucking concert. Always, do you remember Sharon from second year maths? Well, she's just got married again, and that fella, he used to work with your ex's husband's mate. With these people, they're usually quite easy to shut up. Just lean in subtly and go, excuse me, could you just pipe down a little bit? It's just, you're louder than fucking Slipknot. And they'd usually be quiet though. The next one is the most common type of dickhead you'll meet at any concert. And it's a small group of men, between 2 and 6, who've decided what they need to do is get to that concert and get as drunk as possible, as quickly as possible, so that they won't remember a fucking thing about it the next day, but crucially, they'll ruin it for everyone around them. Now, yesterday, when we got to the arena, where our seats were, we were behind two guys who were necking bottles of beer at 6:10. It's like, oh, these guys are fucking on it. And then one of them would just shout loudly in what sounded like gibberish. I thought, he must be paralytic, but then it worked out he's actually just drunk and Polish. I didn't have a clue what he was going on about. Although I will say this, after spending an hour behind that man, I was starting to understand why people voted to leave the EU. Nothing to do with trade deals, just anything to deport that fucking dickhead. Because every 10 minutes or so, after he'd necked a bottle of beer, shouted for a bit, he'd then stand up, forcing everyone else in his row to stand up like they're at the fucking cinema, walk off and come back a few minutes later with more beers, which him and his mate would then neck again and then talk loudly over the support act. Luckily though, before Metallica came on, they fucked off. I don't know where they went, I'm just glad they didn't come back. But that left us open to another danger. Empty seats. Because what's the one thing worse than a group of drunk men? One drunk bloke on his own. Now, these fuckers are everywhere at pub gigs. And at pubs, they always appear to be sober. They'll wander up, if there's a few of you, and go, excuse me, I was meant to meet some friends of mine, but they're not here yet. Could I sit with you just for the start of the band, and I'll leave when I get here? And you go, oh yeah, fine. The second their arse touches down, it's, you're right, how many kids have you got? Where do you go to school? Do you like the band? Do you like them? To which I'm thinking, well, I fucking paid to get in, and I'm wearing one of their shirts. There's a fairly safe bet, yes, I like the band. Then last night, at the big stadium gig, the stewards have found this guy who's too drunk to walk. They've shoved him in a seat in front of Mrs. Disgruntled and myself. And because this prat now decides he needs to make friends with everyone. So the woman next to him, he's just going, hey, oi, oi, and then tapping me, going, Metallica. Luckily, he went up to go for a piss and they didn't let him back in again. Excuse me. I also, though, have my own shame attached to this one concert, because a song began, and by the first chord, I knew what it was. I'm like, yes! And the intro started, and Mrs. Disgruntled tapped me and went, what song is this? And I looked at her with horror in my eyes, not believing this is the woman that I love, and said, it's Master of Puppets. My wife did not recognise the introduction to Master of fucking Puppets, possibly my favourite record of all time. Now, Mrs. Disgruntled, she's a lovely woman. She's a short Irish woman. She's very funny. She's got great personality. She's very beautiful. And at present, she's fucking free to a good home.